Hi, and I'm going to look at does keyword density matter? And keyword density is one of those things that gets raised in search engine optimization and internet marketing on a regular basis. People tend to ask what the correct keyword density is to get ranked in the best position in the results, which is natural, but it's a bit more complicated than that, and the quick answer is that keyword density doesn't much matter. But let's first take a look at what people mean when they ask about keyword density. And it's a calculation of how often a word or a phrase appears on a page, or if they're converting it to text like this video will be in the video. It's normally expressed as a percentage so that the length of the page doesn't matter. So if a word appeared once in a 100-word article or 10 times in a 1,000-word article, because that's 10 times longer, the density for that word would still be 1%. And taking this to its logical extreme, if the only words on a page were the standard programmer test word, hello world, then each of the two words would have a 50% keyword density and the whole phrase would be 100%. And way back at the start of the internet, that could have been significant. Search engines back in the mid-90s were quite basic at the time and only used a handful of factors to decide where to place a page in the results. Since roughly the start of this decade, that's changed. It's commonly thought that Google uses upwards of 200 different factors when its program decides how to display the results, and that's before its RankBrain algorithm kicks in to further amend the results that you see in certain circumstances. All of which means that how often a word or words appears is only one part of the equation and not necessarily a particularly big part. How small or large a part it plays depends on a number of other factors. And they won't be the same for every search you make. For instance, if you're searching for a page about a celebrity, there's a good chance their name would appear quite often, which in turn would make the keyword density for their name quite high. But if you're searching for, I don't know, the possible existence of life elsewhere in our solar system, chances are the word life would be mixed in with other similar words such as life forms, bacteria, extremophiles, and lots of other words that all track back to life. Those words, similar words, are often called LSI or latent semantic indexing words, and they change over time. But there could be synonyms: cat, pussy, feline, kitten, kitty, all sorts of things like that, or related words: pet, animal, creature, even zoo. But all of those are taken into account by the search engines when their algorithm is deciding where a page deserves to be shown in the results. And this type of machine intelligence makes it harder for people to manipulate the research results, and it also makes it harder for online tools to tell you the keyword density on a page, because most, maybe all of the tools will tell you the keyword density, but they don't amalgamate similar words in their score. And then there's the added complication, as I mentioned earlier, of RankBrain. It does its best to learn about things that show in the search results and get close to how a human would interpret them. That means proximity of words is taken into account, and even whether they appear before or after each other on a page, because certain things will appear before in a previous sentence or previous part of the sentence, and sometimes they'll be afterwards. So RankBrain does its best to learn that. And it's eerily good at doing that, because it also learns from its mistakes. When you click back fast, it knows it's made a mistake. So it's getting better over time. It's been programmed to learn like that. And essentially the search engine algorithms are getting closer to how humans think. They're recognizing what's reasonably natural and what isn't. They know grammar structure, they know lots and lots of things that you may prefer they didn't, but they do. And it's why most article spinning tools don't do a very good job, with the possible exception of a tool called Word AI, which does its best to understand text. I've not used it, I'm not a fan of spinning article text, but from what I've heard it does a much better job than average, and they keep improving it because that's their quest. But that's digressing. Going back to the original question, does keyword density matter? I think the answer is not much, if at all. Everything I've noticed in recent years has pointed to writing naturally, not spinning, not writing with English as a second or third language. Sorry if you're listening to this and English isn't your first language. If it's you writing the articles, spend some time checking the grammar for the country you want to be ranked in, because Americans and British and Australians all speak English, but a slightly different variation. Don't spend your time aiming for a perfect keyword density, even if it did exist. And search engines are getting better at understanding the words they do find in a page. They know in context what words mean, even if they're the same word. Dove and dove is a bird, and it's also past tense of when they dove into a pool or something like that, or reading and reading. Oh, read that the wrong way around. No, I didn't. So reading is reading, and Reading is a town here in Britain. And the difference there is the capital letter, probably. But if Reading was typed wrong, or if reading was the start of the sentence, that would still have a capital. So, or if it's in the title. Search engines understand that. They know much more about words in context. And you'll know from looking at words in dictionaries that they can have different meanings in different contexts. The search engine algorithms, they're starting to understand that quite well. And just the same as you wouldn't worry about keyword density if you're explaining something to a friend, you wouldn't be counting up the words you use and saying, oh, I've used that word too many times, I'm not going to use it again. You shouldn't worry about explaining something on a web page in the same way as you would explain it face to face. Chances are this presentation has a high keyword density for the phrase keyword density. I've not measured it and don't really have any intention of doing so, but my guess is it's the higher end of the scale for the stuff I write, maybe 3 or 4% or something like that. Maybe even enough to trigger a warning from Easy Articles if I submitted this as an article to them. It's been a while since I've submitted an article to Easy Articles, but their trigger seems to be set from memory at around 4%, and it doesn't take account of context, but it does know a bit about synonyms. But their plagiarism detection is really good. It goes a lot further than Copyscape, which is used more to detect how many similar words and phrases are used on a page. Sites like iWriter use it, but I've had articles written for me that pass that, but don't pass the more sophisticated Easy Articles check. And that should tell you things aren't quite as easy as you first thought, because they're not. Basically, I think you should write naturally. Don't worry about keyword density. Pay a little bit of attention to the readability score that Yoast and the other search engine plugins give, but take its suggestions with a pinch of salt. For instance, my articles sometimes come out as quite difficult to read, quite a high score on, well, if it's high, I can't remember which way around it goes, but quite a difficult, because that's according to Yoast, and that's because I sometimes write quite long sentences, like the one above. But I'll often use hyphens or brackets to split up the points, and visually, because I write typically short paragraphs, like the ones you see on this screen, it doesn't look difficult to read, and that's part of readability, even though you can't easily measure it. So write for humans first and foremost. Think about the search engines a distant second, if you think about them at all. Make things as simple as they need to be, or as complicated as they need to be, and use the same words online as you would face to face. Do that without worrying about keyword density or much else really, and you won't go far wrong. Definitely don't worry about your English teacher's score, that's irrelevant. And if you'd like more helpful advice about internet marketing, click the link below this video. That'll give you a subscription box where you can sign up for my newsletter for as long as you'd like, and I'll send you helpful, usable, real-world info on a regular basis. It all starts with clicking that link, so go on, be brave, click it now. Thanks for watching.